I'm not really sure about
Yeah.
it, but somebody, saying about how somebody who comes forth all of a sudden and makes a disruption or does something is totally mind-controlled.
Yeah.
And I think that, I hate to say clever because it's like a diabolical cleverness,
Yeah.
that we who are kind of ordinary in a way, in terms of our ethics and principles, etc., cannot conceive of the ruthlessness and also the technology that these people have at their disposal.
Yeah.
And that's why it can be discouraging.
Yeah.
Because you say, what kind of a match am I? I mean, I had an experience when I wrote my essay, Zionism is Nobody's Friend.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had an experience where I started getting phone calls. Well, first I started getting some of the hate mail from people calling me a traitor and a this and a that and, and other four-letter words.
And by the way, I can just mention that that article will be posted on my site when this interview airs, so people will be able to read it at red-ice.net.
Thank you.
So yeah, please continue.
Yeah, so I mean, and I get all this just these four-letter words and other things, but then I started getting phone calls in the middle of the night, waking me up, calling me names, calling me Holocaust denier. I don't remember ever saying a word about the Holocaust in the essay.
Yeah.
KKK member. I mean, where did that come from? Then this guy was yelling at me and saying, why are you talking about 9/11 being an inside job? And then he even went into, and you don't believe that Oswald killed Kennedy? I could not believe this man. He was covering every conspiracy in the world. And he was also threatening, because he was threatening, I'm going to tell your neighbors about you, I'm going this, I'm going, and almost like connecting himself to the Russian mafia. And and I'll tell you, I was nervous.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm 5'2", size 6. I'm not a match for some ruthless people. And I don't know if these are just cyber terrorists or once you graduate to the phones, you're more than a cyber terrorist. But, I don't know if it stops at the phones.
No. Who knows?
So I spoke to a policeman friend of mine, and who was very much on my team, and he said he was almost like throwing up his arms in despair. It's like, lots of luck, lady, that you're fighting a power that's you're not going to win. So how much do I really want to fight this power?
Yeah.
I certainly I want to. It's a tough call because I want to maintain my integrity.
Yeah.
I want to speak my truth. I guess I'm going to die sooner or later. I really want to walk into the line of fire.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so it's a balancing act like everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think, sometimes you end up in a place where you might not want to be, but because of the nature of how reality plays out, you got to, get involved in certain issues and talk about certain things to help, expose and, just speculate about these things, because, I mean, there are so much more interesting things to talk about, but currently, as the world is heading, I mean, we can't, we got to address these issues, I think.
Yeah, sometimes it just seems so trivial when I'm talking about other things, and again, I try to maintain a balance, but there's that part of me that's always looking to educate, and then sometimes I'm told that I'm inappropriate.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only sometimes, it's a lot of times.
A lot of times, yeah.
But maybe, I was on a local talk show one day, and I just ran off at the mouth. I mean, once I started, I couldn't stop, and the hosts are friends of mine. They let me go, even though most of the listeners are people, I'd say a lot of their listeners are older people. They're very attached to their beliefs. They're very horrified by what I say, but the hosts aren't.
Okay.
And I know that afterwards, a man called in. He said, I don't believe that woman was born Jewish, And one of the hosts said, well, I happen to know her, and she was. And then he said, well, she's an anti-Semite.
Oh.
And, but one of the other hosts who I'm friendly with is she's 27, and she's very aware of what's going on. She said, there was a lot of, I didn't really stick around for his phone call. By then I was just, heading on in my car, and she said that there was a lot of pain in his voice because a lot of the stuff that I was saying, it's just so, as we were saying before, it's just so horrific. It just would blow these people's minds. It's like your child telling you you've been a lousy parent when you put your heart and soul into it in life,
Yeah.
It destroys, but and unless you're ready to be able to say, bring it on, I want to hear all about it, and then I'll pick up the pieces, and I'll deal with things as they are, not as I wish they are, or as they were, or as I thought they were.
Yeah.
Deal with them as they are, and where do we go from here? There's so many of us. I mean, David Icke always used to draw the pyramid, and the base of the pyramid is so wide. If we just had all the people at the base of the pyramid knowing what was going on, there would be they couldn't win anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, they would run scared. But
so I mean, the solution then, I guess, lies in that more people just become aware of the the issues here that we're talking about. Is that what you were saying, basically?
Basically, yes. I think that education, to keep talking, maybe not to, as Jesus would say, cast pearls before swine, but maybe to see if you're getting any kind of a response, see the readiness of your audience, and then to keep talking. Now, this can be a double-edged sword, because as more people start waking up to the truth of 9/11 and the statistics go up, and there was the C-SPAN presentation where Alex Jones had his scholars for 9/11 truth on, then what happens? Then the other side, or whatever, the controlling elite, maybe at that point decides, well, I think we're slipping here. Time to pull another one to get everybody back on board. So it can backfire very easily. But I don't know what choice there is.
No, I don't either. I mean, because at the same time, I mean, this information, as you say, there might not be for everyone to I mean, even have to, or should I say, experience. I mean, take maybe the older generations. I mean, maybe it's not, maybe it's not worth the time to, spend so much energy on trying to convince them on things that maybe they never will accept. I mean, what should we do? Should we, focus just on the people that are willing to listen and open their eyes to this?
Well, that's a good point, because also when you were saying that, I was thinking of my youngest son, who lately doesn't seem to want to hear this, but sort of knows it. And his friends seem to know it too, and I used to give them videos, and they were all watching them. And he even told me that has played conscious rap for me, where the rappers aren't rapping about, the usual stuff, but they're rapping about the Bush flying the planes into the Twin Towers and stuff like that. So there are a lot, maybe it's the younger generation that's going to be left with this mess. When I don't know your age, but when
I'm 27.
long after I'm gone, there's going to be my children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren whom I've never met, but I mean, will there be a world? Will they be born? I mean, what are we leaving? And that's, I guess, what I'm fighting for. You were talking before about education, and there was something that you said that reminded me of an essay that I had just written recently called "The Holy Babel," which was basically it wasn't something about the Bible. Really, it was about the pastor who
Yeah.
was talking. But and it was just this really upsetting experience that I had in a fundamentalist church that I just, out of the curiosity of I just was curious to go back there. Usually they had a great rock praise band and all that, and I thought, well, let me see what's doing there lately, and it just became a whole put down of the 9/11 symposium that had been on, and with a lot of distortions.
Yeah.
And I had walked out, and I got a lot of letters saying that maybe I should have spoken out.
Yeah.
And again, that was kind of a judgment call. I thought if I spoke out and got on a rant or a roll, there'd be no shutting me up, and I would have been escorted out. But also, I didn't know whether anybody sitting there would have been of my mindset. But you never know, because even on the local radio show, there's always a couple of people that come forth and agree with me.
Yeah.
So you never know who's lurking within the listenership.
Yeah.
But somebody wrote me a letter and asked me to please reveal the pastor's name, because he said that he thought it would be very effective if the pastor got letters from hundreds of Christians disputing what he was saying. And I agreed, and I did. And I just hope that people are polite and not, because sometimes email can be extremely rude and nasty, which accomplishes nothing.
Exactly.
So I hope that I sent him a nice letter, and I also sent him a booklet on 9/11, and I don't know.
I mean, that's great. I mean, you've obviously, done what you've good for him, I guess. I mean,
all I could do.
Yeah.
and the rest is sitting with him.
Yeah, exactly.
We all have choice. We all have, I guess, free will, although sometimes I wonder because we're being programmed so much.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to have free will, and we can, at any minute, choose to change our minds.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it feels like that is the case in so many times that, that they are these, the preachers standing up there at the pulpit and they are putting their worldview in other people's lives, and maybe many of the people who were there never even have heard of alternative theories to 9/11, and here this guy is and basically gives the people out there the views, what they should think about it before they even themselves have had a chance to look at it. So
that's it, and then that goes back to people putting so much of their belief and faith in the man on the stage and at the pulpit that they feel, well, he knows the truth, and why even question? It's like, when people feel that the Bible is the Word of God, and there's no reason to even question anything. And then there are other people that say, well, the Bible is basically an allegorical book, and it can be read on many, many levels, or there's hundreds of Bibles, and there's hundreds of translations, and but people, I mean, that already clouds the issue. It's so much easier to say, here I am on planet Earth. I don't know how I got here, but this book is telling me how I got here, and now this book is telling me what I'm supposed to do if I want to have a good eternity when I leave this place. So it becomes a manual for people, and then they're all happy, as opposed to, well, maybe things aren't what they appear to be, and maybe you're just whirring around in outer space, and maybe there's more, back to that word responsibility, that more responsibility is going to fall upon you. Yeah.
And when the opportunity arrives, that responsibility ends up in your hands. That's when you gotta, that's when I think when these kinds of issues start popping up to the surface, because we might have spent the previous